Good morning, everyone. Welcome to watch the Travel Weekly News. Since the global COVID-19 outbreak in 2019, cross-border movement has been restricted around the world. The European Union digital COVID certificate has been implemented in European countries since 1 July 2021. Citizens and residents will be able to have their digital COVID certificates issued and verified across the European Union. So Europeans now need a passport and a vaccine certificate to travel in or out of a European country. This means that everyone who has been vaccinated can move freely across Europe without any restrictions. Maybe in the future, people travel to another countries in a special way like this. In purpose of the measure, the Minister of European Commission said he wants to help member states restore freedom of movement, revive their economies and cross-border tourism, but only with safety. Currently, the vaccine passport is recognized by all 27 member states of the European Union, as well as another country such as Iceland, Norway, and Switzerland. Although the high profile of the strategy and action, the international community is divided on issue with some concern about the privacy and the science of the vaccine passport. After reporter Laurie will tell us more about how the vaccine passport works and what impact it may have on the travelers.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Xiangyue. Let's take the travel pass of the International Air Transport Association for example. Passengers only need to have vaccination information registered with a trusted vaccine supplier in both countries. The advantage of this is that personal privacy is not equal to the airline. However, some countries are concerned that vaccine registration information is falsified, which has been confirmed to have happened in the United States. So, the government will be proposing to collect more entry information, including medical data and locations, which means that trust is more important basis for implementation between countries. That's inconvenient for personal privacy and even a challenge to national security. Obviously, the European Union is the best place to enforce a vaccine passport so far. During the recent European Championship, those people who hold extra vaccine passports were able to travel freely between countries to watch the matches, which brought a huge boost to the EU tourism industry. On the other hand, Canada and Italy, Japan and Germany have adopted two-way travel agreements. Although there is still a long way to go before the vaccine passport can be rolled out globally, such as the need for internationally recognized vaccines, high vaccination rates, and trust. There is optimism in more countries and reason for belief that international travel will be opened up in a large scale in the future. From Travel Weekly.
Thank you for Laurie's explanation. We will continue to follow the latest developments in the vaccine passport. Now let's move on to the local news.
Hello, welcome to the local news. On July 21, 2021, the 138th plenary session of the International Olympic Committee announced major news in Tokyo, Japan. Brisbane was officially selected as the venue for the 35th Summer Olympic Games in 2032. This marked the third return of the Olympic Games to Australia after 1956 Melbourne Olympics and the 2000 Sydney Olympics. Moreover, in the context of the Olympic movement being hit by the COVID-19 epidemic, the Australian government's support for the 2032 Olympic Games is considered to be the reason why Brisbane stands out. In addition, after a detailed evaluation by the committee of the host of the Olympic Games, Brisbane has met all the bidding requirements, and its comfortable climate and the comprehensiveness of venue facilities have also been affirmed. Next, I will connect with the local reporter Narisa to report more about budget needed to host the Olympics and the far-reaching significance it brings to the city itself.
The Gold Coast is set to play a major part in the Brisbane 2032 Olympics. The Gold Coast will host 14 different events across 7 facilities within the city. The 2032 Olympics will propel Southeast Queensland onto the world stage, but there's a long way to go before the state will be ready to meet the demands of hosting the Games. The sporting events will be more sustainable and cost-effective, which will leave a mark for the growing area. The International Olympic Committee has discarded the costly old rules requiring sports to have their own purpose-built facilities. 84% of venues for the 2032 Games will be existing, refurbished, or temporary. There's a long history of cost blowouts for Olympic host cities, but organizers for the Brisbane Games said the predicted $4.5 billion operating budget would be cost neutral. Dr. Judith Mayer states the problem with this budget does not include the public transport, new road infrastructure, and the cost of security or the staff. Gold Coasters are being assured that the committee will not put any extra ratepayer funds towards the game. Prime Minister Scott Morrison, the Commonwealth, and Queensland government would work together to share the decisions and costs around the Games. It is estimated the Games will bring in almost $18 billion in economic and social benefits for the country. These Games are important for the city. Southeast Queensland is forecast to grow 1.5 million people by 2041, and transport infrastructure is already feeling the pressure. Adrian Schreiner acknowledges more public transport will be needed to connect venues and observers. It is needed for the growing population and not just for the Olympics. Dr. Mayer said locals could expect to see projects accelerated in the lead up to the Games. Infrastructure improvements, road transport improvements, and public transport improvements that might have been in the 30-year plan for the city can be brought forward so they are ready in time for the Olympics. Back to you, Malin.
Thank you, Larissa, for the message. It's not difficult to say that both the Australian federal government and the Queensland government attach great importance to the hosting of the Olympic Games. For Brisbane, this is not only a way to show the world the charm and the comprehensive strength of the city. This will also pave the way for cities to gain more global attention in the future, increase their social and economic benefits, and this move towards internationalization.